This podcast is brought to you by Brown and Whitworth Foundation. When you're thinking about foundations, think about the colors. Call my man Brown and Whitworth. Yeah, that's good enough. We'll run it. Brown and Whitworth Foundation. You can't even call the foundation. So good luck finding them. Listen, jiu-jitsu is a contact sport. MMA is a contact sport. Being stronger helps you improve your abilities. It's an attribute you need to add to make your game better. So when other teams and athletes are giving 110%, you give 118%. Where are you going to get the extra 18%? From 10-8 personal training, that's who. Call my man Captain Cranberry and have him set up your free training sessions. It's your chance to be proactive and not be a fat piece of shit. Give him a call. Turn your life around. Visit him at 8personaltraining.com for some more information. Ladies, he's an NASM certified. Or you could give him a call. 951-445-3133. Give him a call, send him a text, send him a dick pic. That's his number. Do what you will with it. It's his personal number. That shit will go right to his phone. So go ahead, give it a try. Affordable Roofing is the hardest company to make advertising for. Why? Because they've been here the longest. That's right. Just like their roofs, they are here to stay. And unlike your other roofs, who don't even tune into the podcast and roofers, they are made to fall apart. They aren't tornado proof. And those disasters are big out here. I'll tell you what, I think I saw Tony put a roof in Eastridge, and I haven't seen a tornado around since. So save yourself, your family, and your community. Get rid of that ugly roof. Get rid of those stains. Don't let a $4,000 problem be a $400,000 problem. Call Affordable Roofing, 423-593-9605. That's the original Affordable Roofing, 423-593-9605. And this is a division of the Mullins Home Repair. But don't call him for anything else, because he's too busy making the best roofs. Welcome to the Militia MMA podcast. I'm very excited today because we have one of the most elusive guests possible. We can't seem to keep him in the room, get a hold of him, but he managed to get time out of his busy day to come join us. The original sausage man, James Dean. How you doing, James?
Doing well, Coach. Thanks for having me.
So, are you part of the James Dean fortune of sausage?
If I was, I wouldn't be hanging out in Chattanooga. No, it's a family name. My granddad's James, and so
it was Jimmy Dean. Is that Jimmy short for James?
Jimmy was the sausage guy.
Yes.
James was the guy that wrecked the Porsche. He was the movie star.
Oh, James Dean.
Yeah.
All right. But isn't Jimmy short for James?
It is. That's where the confusion comes in. Yeah.
So you're part of either of them?
No, I struck out both times.
You didn't wreck your Porsche?
No.
So you're in scrubs now?
Yes, sir.
What's going on? Why are you in scrubs?
I work at a pharmacy, so every day for work I wear pajamas to work.
Not just any pharmacy?
No, it's a nuclear pharmacy, so we don't really do many pills.
Okay.
Most of our stuff's sent out in syringes and
goes
to hospitals so they can image people.
So your job title is?
Nuclear pharmacist.
Nuclear pharmacist. So I couldn't go to your job and get prescriptions?
No. Most people don't want the stuff we have.
I couldn't even probably walk in the building without a card, right?
No, you got to be buzzed in.
I'd have to be buzzed in,
Yep.
and they're not buzzing me in.
Yeah.
I know James Dean.
Yeah. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
So they got out of here like, I don't know this guy. Get
No.
this homeless guy out of here.
No, which nowadays it's kind of cool. Once they started robbing pharmacies.
Oh, yeah.
So we avoid all that.
You don't really have anything to rob, work.
No, nobody wants what we've got.
Your equipment's probably really expensive.
It is, but like it's big and bulky. So like there's like you'd have to take it apart to get it out of the building. So,
You'd have to know how to take it apart too. So what do you do? So how does it work?
so we go in most days. We start early, usually in the middle of the night. Come in and we've got orders that were sent in the day before for various diagnostic imaging agents, and we come in and make the diagnostic imaging stuff.
What are you making? Oh, you make like the liquid that they send through.
So like what the bulk of our business is for cardiac patients. So like if you're getting a stress test around town, there's a pretty good shot. We made that.
So I had a MRI on my brain or something after a fight.
Right.
And they ran some liquid through me to do some scans.
So that's contrast. That's a little bit different, and that's particular to MRI. We cover some stuff that MRI can do, but like in the last maybe 4 or 5 months, there's been a contrast shortage. So like unless you've got the stuff to run through, we'll cover some of their work.
Wow. So there's a shortage of that liquid that they inject.
That contrast media, yeah.
So when it says non-contrast, that means that they're not injected.
They're just going to run you through the machine.
Okay, I've always wondered what non-contrast and contrast meant.
Well, that contrast, there's.
It's not good for you, right?
Well, there's not a significant amount, but there's a pretty good portion of the population that can't tolerate the contrast. So, like, if you can't tolerate the contrast, there's a lot of stuff. That's where we come in.
Okay.
So the MRI is a more detailed image.
Opposed to a CT scan?
Well, and like CT, like it all kind of blurs together. So some of the stuff we do, they combine with CT and get some really crisp images.
They're both, I've had MRIs and CT scans numerous, and that's something part of fighting do.
Yep.
Now, my question is, what is the difference between an MRI, like New Jersey requires CT, California's MRI. What is the difference? Oh, is that a good question?
Yeah, no, it is.
It's the same to me.
Yeah.
I think CT is a little quicker.
CT is a little quicker.
And quieter.
And quieter. And MRI, CT gives you a pretty good picture. So does MRI. And there's a lot of crossover. All the CT and stuff is generated into a computer, and the computer's spitting the image out. Where the MRI is basically like just chopping level by level by level by level.
Okay.
And then piecing it all back together to kind of give you a full picture. So like when you look at one of our images, you'll see the outline of the body. Like you can kind of tell where stuff is. If you don't know what you're looking at with MRI, you're like, this is somewhere in the body. So it's.
But if you were looking at a CT image, could the average person decipher it or not? No.
So like the CT stuff we look at, yeah. So like they cross. It's kind of a dual modality test. So like we'll send an agent that they'll inject. And most of the stuff we do is photon emitters. That stuff that goes with the CT is a positron emitter. And the positron lets you kind of really dial in the depth at where these particles generate. So they can kind of do the back math and fill out the picture. And when you mix that with CT, those images are
pretty crisp.
Remarkable. And they're in color usually.
Wow. So what do you think is better?
It depends on what you're trying to do.
Or is it just Duracell and Energizer? Are they two different brands?
Well,
or
it depends on what you're trying to image. So like for us.
Because GE makes most of the stuff, right? Or they used to.
Siemens makes a bunch of the stuff. So Siemens is kind of.
And they also make children.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they're made.
Yeah.
That's
they're always making.
They've been around for years.
Yeah, hey, Siemens made me.
Yeah. Siemens was kind of double dipping. They were making the cyclotrons where the stuff was produced and the cameras where it was imaged. So like Siemens had a big foot in the market. GE did the same thing. So like in some markets, GE is one of our bigger competitors.
They're on the way out though, or they took a hit. I mean, they're not going anywhere.
GE got so diverse, they're trying to kind of pull back in.
Yes,
they had their hands in everything.
They're selling off right now because they have an enormous debt.
Yep.
And I think they're just dialing it. I don't think they're doing washers and dryers, or they might have just sold the GE tag or something.
No, like they're moving out a lot of stuff. Like they're trying to kind of dial back in on what their focus is.
That's probably good. They'll make it. They're not.
It's hard to be good at everything.
Yeah.
You kind of need to, if you're gonna have a good quality.
It's not like Amazon where we're just selling shit.
We're the guy that sells it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're making most of that stuff. So.
Yeah, and real technical stuff.
And I've heard like a lot of those places, like with the appliances and stuff, like if you can't keep them coming, like a lot of the big box stores won't handle you. So like if you can't constantly keep me with refrigerators, I'm not going to tie up room on my show floor with your refrigerator.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So like I think a lot of that, especially in the last.
Or they're going to sell the floor model and get the guy who can.
Yeah. And
See
place
you
you
later.
with Roper or whoever.
Yeah.
Maytag.
Wow. So how'd you get into this job?
Well,
before we even go further with that, I have another. So all the stuff you make is specifically for imaging, correct?
Yes, we do.
You're not making any pills that I could take and be cured of something.
No. So like we've got some what you would call therapeutic, which is actually treating a disease. Most of our stuff is diagnostic, which is used to determine the level of disease. Or
so you're always dealing in injections.
96% of the time. We do some pills. Most of those pills are diagnostic. Some of those are therapeutic. Most of those are for like thyroid.
And they got half-lives on it, very short time shelf life.
Yeah, most of our stuff on average has 6 hours. You lose half of it. Some of the stuff that goes real quick, we lose half of it in an hour.
Wow. How long does it take you to make it?
Most of it, probably 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So will they bring a patient into your building?
No. So
they never could bring something with a short life, a patient to the building to.
Because like we cal it out far enough to where, so all the stuff has a time that it's meant to be given. So like if they tell us it's due at 11 o'clock, if it's something that's going to have an hour half-life, I may start on it at 9. And it's going to be close usually. So I can get it there in 30 minutes.
Okay. Or I was thinking maybe you made it stronger and then
we do
at the second, after the first half-life
Yep.
is when they get it at the right.
Yeah.
Because
So
then
if
it'll bring it down to time.
Yeah. So if it's one of those, it's an hour, and I'm wanting to give you 5, and I'm going to start on it 2 hours later. I'm going to make 20, because it's going to go 20 to 10, 10 to 5, and once we get it there. And
it's not like do they disintegrate, or does it just like it's just not powerful?
So the liquid is still there, but they quit emitting the radioactivity.
Yeah, so it's like you're just drinking goo or whatever it is. But what about the pills? Do they disintegrate, or it's like you're taking a Tic Tac?
They do, but they do it at a lot slower rate.
What will the pill actually disintegrate, or it'll just be wow?
Yeah, it'll disintegrate, and you'll absorb it like you'd absorb any other pill.
No, but I mean like if it was on the table.
Oh no! It would stay.
It would just be like it eventually would be like a non-minted Tic Tac if you were to swallow it.
You'd run a meter over, and it'd just be a pill.
Just be a pill. It would have something very small because radiation never goes away, or eventually it does. Because it probably still have radioactive property.
Yeah, you can divide by 2 forever and never quite hit 0, but you hit a point to where you're down to background radiation.
And it just eventually
kind of
goes away?
At that point, in essence, it's decayed. So like if you're going to put it in your body, you've got the how long it takes that radioisotope to decay, plus how fast your body's getting rid of it. So you've got a biological half-life, and then you've got the half-life of the isotope.
Okay.
And then you take the 2 of them, and that gives you the clearance on the drug.
That's some crazy stuff. A lot of math.
Yeah, a lot of math.
So how'd you get into this?
I thought I wanted to go to med school.
You wanted to be a doctor?
Yeah, like I was maybe in the ER or something.
Okay, or surgeon or not?
Maybe, yeah. I definitely didn't want to be like a family practitioner.
Okay.
Something a little more.
You didn't want to be somebody that the drug companies came in and say, hey, push this pill.
Yep.
And there's actually, a lot about the medical field, right?
Yeah.
There's I guess something that gets released every so often that tells you what the correct path is to treat stuff, a general guideline.
Yeah. So like they do guidelines on just about everything. Diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever the disease state
So
is.
you open up a doctor's office, and you're just a general practitioner.
Yep.
Which means you're kind of
A
a
family
jack of all.
doc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jack of all trades. You couldn't. You'd have trouble finding MRSA on a person, or you would go just by the book.
And as a general rule, they're going to punt to a specialist.
Okay.
So
And
like once
follow
it gets,
the book. And
yeah,
then
once
go
it
to
gets
this
too
guy.
involved, oh, you're having a kidney problem, you need to go see a specialist. You're having a problem with your head, you need to get you to somebody that does neurology.
Okay.
We're not going to handle that. We may take over and maintain it, but like we're not going to be the primary point for that.
Yes, unless it's a common cold, or
Yeah.
if they had a good frontline pre-hospital treatment of COVID,
Yep.
it would have been good for them to have it. But
Yep.
we won't get into all that miscommunication chaos. But so what I like to do, so I don't have insurance,
Right.
and mathematically, it almost doesn't make sense for me to have insurance if I had to pay for it.
No, it's
I would
ridiculous.
probably, if me and Stephanie, low income,
Yep.
what do you think out the box probably insurance would be for the two of us a month?
I would say,
200 to 400?
oh, easily. I would say like if you didn't take any adjustments for income into play, I would say you're probably looking at closer to 6.
Okay, now income adjustments.
Yeah.
Being,
So
not
like
government income adjustments, but like, how they have the plan for the
Yeah.
poor people.
So like when Obamacare rolled out, that was part of the Obamacare thing. Like, so depending on your income,
we could get that next year.
Yep.
Because we're under the threshold, but we could still technically
Yep.
buy insurance.
Yep.
And I think for the both of us, it'd probably be like 300 to 600.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So for everybody with insurance, if you're generally healthy, this is how I do it. Remember when I broke out with the MRSA right
Yep.
before my competition? I was
Yep.
like, "This is MRSA. I'm gonna go." I called up. How much is it to speak to the dermatologist for the visit for a cash patient? I think it was like $100.
Yep.
No brainer, do that. Like, because you can negotiate cash pretty easily.
And 90% of them are cheaper with cash.
It might have been more if I had an insurance, a proper insurance, low level. It would have been the copay might have been $80.
I know a dude that got an MRI, so we had a what they call a high deductible plan. So like he's going to pay a lot out of pocket before his ever really kicks in. If he pays cash for the MRI, it's like $200.
Wow,
If
that's
he
a good rate.
processes insurance, it's $400. He's writing the check for both of them,
Yes.
but yeah,
So you're better off just going negotiating and everybody likes cash.
Yep.
Or even just checks. Or
yep. And they had a model there that was starting to pop up for a while where it was almost like a subscription service. So like you could have a primary care guy and you paid him.
I think some people are doing that
Yeah.
still. It's up to, but aren't they getting rid of, aren't the big boxes, I say with quotation figures, buying up the small guys? Aren't they eating those small guys? Because they could get the new equipment, the $1 million equipment.
And it's hard to find a guy that's kind of on his own anymore.
It really is. They're going away. Maybe more so here in the South, but the big cities, it's kind of like, I guess a company comes in and lets them run their practice out of it, or
Yeah, and they like kind of do
Or
the
centers.
umbrella, like they're going to handle the billing, they're going to handle all the insurance paperwork and all that. They've
like the
got-
receptionist
Yeah.
isn't your employee.
They're going to handle the payment collection. They're going to handle all the stuff that you as a doctor probably don't want to mess with. You're not there to hound a dude about paying his bill. Like you're there to treat some patients and
Yeah, and I guess it'd be it's hard to be the general too, because if you're a doctor running your own practice,
yeah, there's so much to stay up on.
yeah, so you need a good office manager.
Yep.
But the good thing in that is everything's under your control.
Yeah,
I could imagine, like, I would prefer to keep everything in my control than
oh yeah,
be the expert for
Yep.
somebody else.
yep. No, and it's that way a lot with medicine. I don't know. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's not affiliated with somebody.
Okay.
So, like, my primary care physician was associated with a hospital.
Okay.
So, like, he had his own practice, but he's under that umbrella. But what that means is, so, like, when he's making referrals and stuff, or you've got to be admitted to the hospital for something, you're going to the hospital that he's under.
And you're going to go to his... Yeah.
Unless there's a compelling reason for you to go somewhere else. So, like, if there's a specialty center and it's clearly, like, they handle this better, you're probably going there. But, yeah. So that's how the hospitals feed in, is through running those networks. But some of the hospitals are getting out of primary care and stuff.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
But now, something that's very interesting a lot of people don't know. Medical debt erases off your credit after 7 years.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't go bankrupt from it. You just got collectors that bug you.
Yeah.
And does that work with all medical debt, like even from local practices?
I don't really know. Part of the reason I got out of retail pharmacy, like Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, that kind of stuff, was like the insurance issues were just constant headaches. So what I do now, no insurance.
No, you just make the stuff.
Yeah, I send it.
You're a specialist.
Yeah.
How many people in this city can do what you do?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6. 6 or 7.
It's incredible.
Yeah. The next closest would probably be
Atlanta?
Knoxville, Atlanta. You find us closer, cities of this size are bigger. Because what you're doing is covering a pretty big geographic area.
Yeah, because people will come here to get those super important images. Does Cleveland come here, or does Cleveland got its own?
No, Cleveland's.
So you're covering all the way to Knoxville and Atlanta.
Yeah, so like we split the distance between them geographically.
And where's the next one up north, North Carolina or something?
So yeah, we've got several in North Carolina. We've got one down in Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis.
So
any big city's gonna have
So
one.
how many is there in like New York and like LA, you think, that do what you do?
Significantly, there's a lot more.
Like 50 and under 50?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because like I know some of the bigger pharmacies that do what we do, they may run 9 pharmacists.
Okay.
And like ours is much
So
smaller.
there's probably under 300 people in this country that do what you do.
Probably a little more, but not a lot. Yeah, not
Under
a lot
probably
more.
like 300 to 400.
Yeah, probably.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. You figured out how to make yourself super valuable.
Yeah,
And if you were to leave, you could go get a job doing this anywhere else.
yeah, because there's been kind of an influx in the market of companies wanting to try to get in. So like it's like anything, it waxes and wanes.
Okay.
So like it'll get tight, competition leaves. People see room for competition, more enter. It's kind of like it's breathing.
Yeah, but I feel like you're such a specialist
Yeah,
that like it's not the nurse. It's,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I think nurses do amazing jobs and most of the time better than general practitioner doctors. They're usually the ones who stay up on things. I guess because they don't get the books.
Yep.
And they do a lot of independent research.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think but there are tens of thousands of nurses, 100,000 in this country.
Yeah. People are waiting to get into nursing school.
There's more MMA fighters than what you do.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
There is. I mean, think about it. That's like, but the need for what you do becomes more and more.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as more people are getting MRIs and CTs, but we're not a population. We're at a population deficit now, I think.
Yeah, and we're getting a little older, so like that's where you see more cardiac
Okay.
stuff. So like I'm not, if I'm hanging out with a bunch of 30-year-olds, there's not a big demand for you to get your heart checked.
Yes.
Bunch of 50-year-olds, that starts to change.
You should probably get it checked at like 30s, 40s.
Yeah, it's always good to have a baseline.
I've heard of people catching heart attacks. Could that come from steroids, though?
Steroids probably could play in. I could definitely see it being connected.
I saw a fighter online who was making a post on, he did something at an IBJJF Masters or something. And I saw that he posted that he had a heart attack, and this was his comeback. He's not too far in age from me. He was definitely a buff guy, though.
So like,
and now that we're talking, and I'm
well,
like,
here's the funny thing with weight. There's parts of the body that cannot determine whether or not you're jacked up on muscle or you're rocking a bunch of fat. So if you're 250 pounds, your knees can't tell whether or not you've got 30% body fat or 10.
yes,
They're carrying 250 pounds.
math doesn't lie.
Yeah, so those joints do that. And the other thing, too, is with more mass, you've got more just miles of vessel you're having to push blood through.
Okay.
So the more you weigh, the more that heart's having to work. Whether or not, so like if you're taking steroids and you're putting weight on, why else would you take them?
Okay.
I mean, I could see definitely where you could have some issues from it. You could be in shape, but you're still making the heart work harder.
Can you also make it grow from some steroids?
Some of them can, yeah. You'll see an enlarged heart with some of that stuff.
My surgeon was big on like don't take HGH or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, see, HGH is bad about that. From what little bit I've read on it, like that's where you see like big organs.
Yes, well, he also said don't fuck with your libido. Don't put anything in it that's synthetic.
Yeah.
Because I said, like, after my bicep there, I'm like, if I do HGH, will this make me heal? You know, after being cut from the UFC bicep there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, well, and I go to New Jersey, a guy named Dr. Boyardo. He still runs his own practice.
Yeah.
But he's tied in with 2 different hospitals. But he's the specialist.
Yeah.
But like you go to his office, they got an X-ray guy in there.
Yeah.
Under his umbrella, his personal umbrella.
Right.
And then he's the specialist that gets called to be chained into these. He did the first robot-assisted hip replacement.
Okay.
So what that does is it lines up the hip robotically, and apparently, from what I understand, it's usually somebody would hold it back there. And how well they held it that day was how well it would graft.
How good your hip's going to turn out.
Yes, and how long it's going to last.
Yep.
Apparently, these robotic-assisted ones line it up perfectly.
Angles right, everything's
And
right.
then that they just last.
Yeah.
Because it's like how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So where was I? What was I talking about before I strayed?
The doctor up in New Jersey.
Yes, so.
About your bicep.
Yes, I tore my bicep, and I got distracted again. And I asked him about HGH. He said, you don't want to put anything synthetic in your body. You don't want to mess up your libido. I think he said, you don't want to fuck up your libido.
Yeah.
He says, that's a West Coast doctor thing.
Yeah.
He said, you got good genetics. Don't mess with your genetics.
Yep.
He said, you'll heal. You'll be fine.
No, and like that's the other thing. And so much of this stuff's gotten. So what's testosterone? Testosterone may be a 3. I think it's class 3. So it's controlled. But a lot of the stuff, the supplemental stuff they would use with it, like
So if I was to go the route of doing HGH or
yeah,
this is what they
some
would
of
do.
that stuff got a lot harder to get because they ruled it. They changed its classification. It went to a biologic.
Okay, so some steroids are illegal. Well, it's funny, they were all illegal, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
10 years ago?
Yeah, not 10, but a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
started doing like Dan Henderson was back before it was illegal in the UFC,
Yeah.
testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Everybody was
Just juice him
bitching
to the
out of him.
gills.
And then it's like, well, he's fucking 40-something competing in the UFC.
Yeah.
He's just bringing himself to normal levels. And
Yeah.
that was, if you had an exempt, you can,
Yeah.
for being an older fighter. Then USADA came in, and then he was off of it.
Yeah.
And then after he retired, he got back on it. I'm seeing, which I want to know your opinion on this as a medical professional. What's up with all these testosterone, like recovery centers that measure this? Now, here's what I mean before I give you a chance to answer it. You know these centers where they could check your testosterone and give you all the stuff?
And that's what they do.
No one ever goes in there and they send them home saying you have perfect testosterone, go home. None of this stuff is going to help you.
No.
None of this synthetic stuff is going to be good for you.
Well, the thing is, like, as you get older, that's just part of getting older.
Right, and probably a lot to do with
Once
diet,
you get through
process.
your 20s, you're probably going to start dipping.
Do you think it has to do with, like, everybody says our diets and our processed food? And
I think it does. And, like, I think
because diet's everything. Look at George. He's a specimen.
he is. And, like,
And
I
he
mean,
hasn't had a
depending on how
calorie.
much you work out. You
Yes.
know, the more physical stuff you do, the more your body's going to make the stuff that helps you do the physical stuff.
Yes.
The body's going to adapt to whatever you do.
Yeah, because we got a pretty docile society right now.
Yeah. And the other thing they don't say is there's a lot of medications that'll drop your testosterone.
Okay.
So, like, if you're on Adderall put testosterone in the dirt.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, if a kid's a little rowdy, he's going on testosterone. I mean, on Adderall.
Oh, man.
You know?
So, like the college student who's taking it, or he's gonna get a raise in estrogen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Next, I shouldn't have done it. All those exams.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, like there's a lot of medications that tie into it. I mean, head trauma,
Head trauma.
getting
Really?
punched in the head. Yeah.
That raises your estrogen.
Well, it can drop your testosterone. Because I mean, your pituitary gland's in your head.
Okay.
That controls all the hormones.
But if you're getting punched in the head, aren't you fighting now?
Oh,
And
yeah.
Couldn't that release
Yeah.
testosterone
Oh
too?
yeah. Yeah.
Because you're activating those animal
It gets
instincts.
super complicated. All those cyclical loops, get super complicated.
Okay, so like, get this. We had a guy, Bobby Handy. He was one of our first members. He was older than me. As soon as he used to, I think, fight like maybe amateur 10 years ago. As soon as he started doing this again and getting back in, 7 months later, got his wife pregnant. And he said it was all because of the gym, too.
Yeah.
He's like, it just kind of hit the nos a little bit.
That I 100% believe. The more in shape you are, like reproductively.
And just probably grappling around with other men.
Yeah.
Brings out that like animal instinct.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got to fight again.
It's fight or flight.
Yeah. It's actually funny. Like, some of the fights I did the best, I was a little bit scared.
Yeah.
And I think fear brings heightened sense of awareness.
Oh yeah. Dials you in.
Yeah, so you're
That's what adrenaline's for.
yeah, for like when your back's against
Yeah.
the wall. And when your back's against the wall, you're truly fighting your
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's funny, like all the little bit of learning you do in life through all these little offshoots that's not like a field per se.
Yeah.
Like I've learned, I think personally, more than a general practitioner on getting funks. Like I could spot funks just
Yeah.
by seeing them.
Yeah.
That so much I was at a dermatologist's office, they were trying to not give me the most stuff for staff. I'm like, no, this is staff, it's aggressive. If you're not going to give me the right stuff, I want to speak to your boss.
Yeah.
And then when I got in there and we talked, he was like, yeah, that's staff. Let's shoot you up.
yeah.
Let's get it taken care of.
No, and I mean that's the thing. Like I mean, it's hard to beat experience.
Really is.
Like I mean, that's what they're going to med school for. Part of it's to learn the process and do the books. So much of it's just time spent in a hospital seeing the stuff.
Something was interesting that was told to me in Russia. So physical therapists, the first year they go to school for physical therapy.
Yep.
They go into field first
Yep.
before they waste time deciding if they made the right choice or not.
Yep.
And in America, it's kind of backwards. You do all the schooling and then you go into field.
Yep.
Do a lot of people do that and decide that I think I chose the wrong field?
I would say there's a handful. I don't think you get through med school without knowing that's what you want to do, because that is a grind.
I heard that from physical therapists. They're like,
Yeah.
a lot of them come out of 6
Yeah.
years and they never put their hands on a body and worked
Yeah.
it. And it's like, oh, I don't want to be moving people all day.
I've got a pretty close friend that quit nursing school with a 4.0 and
Didn't wanna
quit
be a
once
nurse?
she got out in the field.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's different.
Yeah.
You're seeing war.
Yeah. And like you're seeing old people that are sick,
Shitting on themselves.
kids that are sick. I mean, just stuff you don't want to see.
Abused.
Yeah.
Everything. The worst. Motorcycle wrecks, I hear, are the worst.
Yeah. So like, she's like, that's not for me. I'm like, it would have been cool if you found that out year one. I mean,
Right.
So I could definitely see where that would be handy
Yeah.
to actually see the job before you get into it.
Or then what do? You get stuck trying to get behind a desk or something, right?
We had a couple people that flunked out third and fourth year in pharmacy school. I don't know what you do, especially if you've got loans, because now you've got a ton of debt and you're not going to make the paycheck to pay it back.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What school did you go to?
I went to UNC.
UNC.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know UNC. They have a
Yeah.
good wrestling team.
Yep.
They're pretty good.
Did undergrad at Georgia.
Undergrad at Georgia.
Yep.
How much was schooling, if you don't mind me asking?
School, all said and done. I'll tell you what I came out with, but what I came out with is nothing to what some of the kids are coming out with now. So I graduated back in 2009. I talked to a kid 3 years ago that came out owing $250.
Wow.
So he had a house payment
Yeah, and
that you can't get out of.
yeah. Well, they just forgave 10,000 of it.
Yeah. Well, like the thing with that was like if it wasn't subsidized, And so, like, this is grad school. This is different than undergrad.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like, a lot
I mean,
of the,
10,000's a bee sting and a hornet's ass
What-
at
and back in-
250,000.
back in the day, like, well, you had to consolidate privately to get a better interest rate.
Okay.
So, like, when you're moving $250,000 worth of loans around, like, you want the best interest rate you can get because that adds up quick.
And a student loan is not it, huh?
Yeah. So, like, if you're talking 4 versus 2, you're going to make up for that in a year just in interest.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
a night. So you have to go get that job.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
it's high paying, and
You cross a threshold where you're tied to it,
that's crazy.
regardless of what
Yeah, and
your thoughts are.
And 250's not bad because I could have went to some colleges that were 100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like Wagner, which was they gave me a small scholarship for wrestling. They were 40,000 a semester. They gave me 10,000 a semester, but that's 60,000 over 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm now in higher because I'm in an engineering school, trying to be a gym teacher or some shit.
Yeah.
Just there to wrestle.
Yep. Nope. That's the thing.
Wagner was another one that we were looking at, and that was 25 a semester. What is there, 2 semesters?
Yeah. Oh, well, 3 technically. You
3.
go in the summer if you want to.
Okay, so yeah, I would have been with the big 200, 250 if I
Yeah.
went that route, but
Yeah.
with like,
I came out owing $5,000 on undergrad.
that ain't bad. That's
No.
good.
No.
That's chump.
But I mean, I worked pretty much the whole time too.
Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't just go to school and hang out. Like
You stayed busy.
I lived and went to school. So like I just lived like I would live anyway and just went to school.
When did you go to school? What age did you go?
So I came out of high school and got a job in a factory. Just long enough to know I didn't want a job in a factory.
That like you don't want to do that.
Yeah, drive a forklift the whole nine. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
No,
but-
it actually seems like kind of a fun job.
Yeah.
Probably the first 3 months.
Yeah, but it was dusty and dirty and
The good thing about it is the amount of ball busting that
yeah.
goes on.
Oh
in the-
yeah.
Like there's something to a factory job. Like, yeah, it's a little gruel, like 9 to 5 and grindy.
Yep.
But they're like, there's the perks of ball busting.
The fun part, the camaraderie.
Yeah, the camaraderie, and you don't you get to leave and
Yeah.
not take your work home.
No, that never comes home. You're like, man, I wish I was on the forklift. Wonder what the forklift.
Or like, oh, I hope I got that injection out in time,
Yeah.
or I did it right, or I didn't fuck
Yeah.
with this person's life. You could fuck up a flooring order or
Yeah.
something, you know?
It'll come back. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. We're just dealing in things
Yeah.
and items and items that we put a monetary value on,
Yep.
like the dollar.
So like I hung out and did that for maybe 6 or 8 months. So maybe I took about a year off, you would say, and then went to Dalton.
Okay.
Went to Dalton for a couple years, got some prereqs out, then went down to Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were
Then
you,
went to Georgia for a semester and came back. And when I came back, one of the local fire departments was hiring. So I did that for almost 3 years.
did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. It's the best job I ever had.
If it was 60,000 a year, would you do it?
Oh, I'd still be there, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is in California. Granted,
Yeah.
probably 60,000 there is a lot less
Less
than the
than
30.
Here.
What did they start back then? Like,
$9,
I was gonna
nine
say-
something an hour. It was $9 and some change.
yeah, like Pat had it pretty good.
Yeah.
So Pat, I think they started, he's older, but
Yeah.
they started somewhere big.
Yeah.
And then it was a really good job for the area till it got out of control within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But Dylan too, a cop over there, you're
Yep.
making. But then they took this and they moved out here.
Yeah. Yeah, took it and run.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the way to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, and I did that for 3 years, and I was to the point where I was either going to A, go back to school, or B, go to a bigger city and do it.
Yeah.
Because bigger cities pay more.
Atlanta pays good, right?
That's probably where I was going to head.
What do you think Atlanta starts now?
Atlanta's in the 50s or 60s, I would say.
Yeah, that's what okay, so they're similar.
Some of these local departments are almost in the 50s. They're in the upper 40s.
Not in our area, right?
Oh, yeah, in our area.
Like this Eastridge one, you think they're probably in the 40s.
I know the one over in Walker County does because I've seen some of their stuff roll across.
Okay, we had 2 firemen here
Yeah.
from Georgia. They said they were like 30, 40.
Yeah.
Or they just became 40,000.
Well, and two, like I say that, but like we were like when I did it, we were all firefighter EMTs.
Yeah, that's the
So,
new
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So apparently, in some of these newer cities, that the sprinklers are so good that most of the work is EMT work.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where it was going. And that's kind of what made me I was like, I don't really want to be an EMT.
Or if you're gonna, why don't I just be a medical professional?
Go get a paramedics and just do that.
Same thing kind of happened to me in a different way when I was running the grappling program at Team Quest. You know, there was also a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians going on. I was like, I'm barely making enough to live with roommates and everything. I'm like, let me take my little nest egg I got from fighting, move to an area that I put it into a math problem.
Yep.
High population, good median income, low cost of commercial. And then there was the one variable, too, that I learned later. Do they have wrestling in that area? That's what kept me out of Bowling Green.
Yep.
That and the equation was better here after this area was recommended to me.
Yeah, once you actually come down and see what it has to offer.
Well, I saw them both.
Yep.
I was originally like Bowling Green, then Franklin. And then, like, it was just a lot of money because Bowling Green got super popular.
Yeah.
I went and someone told me to check out Chattanooga. And I was like, I've heard that word before. I thought it was just some made up.
A song about a train.
Yeah, I didn't even hear the chugga on a train. And KRS-One said, I'm tired of that Chattanooga envy. That's the only time I ever, I was like, is that a saying, Chattanooga envy?
I missed it.
Yes, that's somebody from Ringgold saying, I got that Chattanooga envy, or Rossville.
It could be.
That's like the high class. So that's the only time I've heard of Chattanooga. And then he told me to check it out. I plugged it in. And before COVID out here, I took a flight and was looking at buildings.
No, I mean, I think it's a good little area. So, like, when I graduated, I was kind of torn between staying where I was at up in North Carolina
Okay.
or coming back. Like, and there were some financial reasons to come back at the time. But, two, I was like, man, Chattanooga's just close to everything.
It's so centrally
Like, I'm
located.
an hour and a half from Atlanta, I'm an hour and a half from everywhere.
So are you originally from this area?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Fort Oglethorpe.
Fort Oglethorpe. All right. How'd you meet Rhonda?
Friend.
How long, you guys?
We'll be married 10 years in April.
Okay, and you're 40.
I'll be 45 in March.
All right. You guys met in your 30s?
She will be 40 next year, so I'm 5 years older.
You guys met in your
30s, yeah.
You were 30.
Yeah, I would say, early 30s, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was late 20s?
Yeah. So, a buddy called and said, hey, know a girl, think you'd dig her.
Yeah, you've been hanging around alone too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get out of the
set
house.
y'all up? Yeah, I told her to hit me up on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Sent some texts back and forth, went out a couple times and hit it off.
That's awesome.
Never looked back, yeah.
That's awesome. I like Rhonda, even though I scared her the first time we came in.
Yeah, no, I think we dated for about a year, lived together for about a year, and then got married. So it was relatively, what I consider relatively quick.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. I mean, shoot, you don't let the guard down till like 9 months.
For
they
real.
say statistically.
Yeah, I figured that would be the test once she's in here living together. Like it's hard to hide.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, exactly. If you do, my coach always go, "You're basically married."
Yeah,
that's it. That's your wife. You guys live together.
Yeah,
you're basically married.
Yep.
And it's true.
No, it is. Yeah. So
how'd you get into jiu-jitsu?
Had a buddy that wrestled, and he had a kid. Well, he's got 2 kids. The son.
And you're like, I could take him.
I could take the kid and I'd smash him.
Yeah.
I think the kid wanted to try, and since he wrestled, like he wanted to do it, like he would watch fights and stuff, and he was trying it at a local gym. Gave me a call. He's like, man, I think you'll dig this.
This one right here? Kyoto?
Yep,
cool.
Kyoto.
I don't care. You can mention names. I wear their gi.
You're right. He gave me a call, said, come on down. I think you'll try it. Then like 6 months later, he was done, and
we
were still hanging out. Yeah.
You and Rhonda both tried it out at the same time?
Yeah. Rhonda stuck with it till she got pregnant.
Okay.
So once she got pregnant, she was good.
Just let it go.
Yeah. Well, the OB was like, "You do what? Wait, no, you probably don't want to do that while you're pregnant."
Yeah, I get
especially big and pregnant. But yeah, so she did that, and two, like we got pregnant right when COVID hit, so like the gyms were kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Like if you were gonna do any jujitsu, it was like going to buy drugs, like 3 people meeting with
Really?
the lights off. Yeah, yeah.
I tried to get out here pre-COVID, and they pulled the lease out from under me. But I was gonna, if I would have came out here, I was just talking to my wife about this. I would have said I wouldn't cover the windows. I would let it be known that we're doing it, and we're gonna continue on doing it.
So the gym we were at had like a kind of a half of a partition.
Yes.
And so we would stay close to the wall. So if you looked in the window, you couldn't really see
You
it.
guys were like
Yeah, there'd be
mice,
like
rats hiding.
3 or 4 of us that just stuck with it throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I would have been brash and been that guy getting arrested on TV for freedom.
I don't think they cracked down too hard around here.
I didn't think so either. I said, Steph's like, hey, I heard they were crack. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, the police officer would come in and I'd sit down and talk to him and he'd be like, what,
Okay.
do we got to cover? Or is it good that I'm fighting for this?
Yeah. No, I never heard of anybody getting hassled.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We were all kind of cautious. But,
Apparently, that's how Agogi took off.
mm-hmm.
Because apparently during COVID, when everybody shut down, they decided to stay open. Yeah, if you don't put your nuts on the table, you can't.
Well, we had several guys from there go over there during that time.
Yeah, because some people aren't going to do everything.
Some people just didn't care about it.
Yeah.
Like it was just another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like the flu too.
Yeah.
And like I know a lot of guys that looked at it just like that.
Yeah, isn't flu a COVID though? Isn't that term used for flu?
No, COVID's the type of virus, so like it's a coronavirus.
Okay.
And flu is influenza virus, so they're different viruses.
Okay.
COVID's a lot bigger than the flu
Okay.
genetically.
Right now.
Well, no, I meant like size-wise.
Oh.
Actual size.
Of the molecule.
And how much actual information, like how much RNA, DNA they've got in them.
Okay, because I hear we're doing better every season with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's like
You get used
it's like
to
the
it.
flu's a little worse now,
Yeah.
and we've been fighting that forever.
Oh, yeah. And we'll continue to.
We'll continue.
You
And
get
this
your booster and go.
is gonna be a forever thing too. I think it was made by the
Once
company.
it's out of the bottle, it's out of the bottle.
You think it was man-made?
Could be.
Could be.
There's things that would lead you to think that way, maybe.
May.
May not be, but could be. Could definitely be.
What do you think?
I think it could have definitely been a lab leak.
You would go lab leak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's been so much paper trail behind it, and you don't make a weapon not to use it, right?
No. And I mean, they're playing. I mean, they play with it. That's what they're doing. How can we make it worse?
Yeah, or they played with it and then it could have been got on somebody's stuff when they left too.
Yep.
Is it that easy to bring something out of that lab? And
It is, especially as something as contagious as that.
how come it stuck around and swine flu and West Nile were just
So they jumped on swine flu pretty hard. So like, since I've been out of school, there were 2 big flus that were kind of talked about. There was an avian flu and a swine flu. We were real good at making flu vaccines, like real good. So like when they did avian flu, like they killed millions of chickens to stop that from jumping.
okay.
So like if you know the host it's in, you just go kill the host and it never jumps.
Right.
And then swine flu, they were so far, like they saw it in the pipeline, because the way they figure out the flu vaccine is they go to the vector.
Swine flu was an influenza.
Swine flu was influenza.
So we knew how to battle it.
And the vector was pigs.
Okay.
So like the way they figure out the flu every year. So like if I'm figuring out next year's flu, I go and look at those vector populations now, birds, pigs, that kind of stuff, where flu just harbors, and then I see what I think is going to be the big one next year.
Okay. So
They're guessing. They roll the dice on the flu shot every year.
Yes. Oh, okay.
But that's how they're trying to guess. They're like, well, these look like the predominant strains of flu that are going to be relevant next year. This is what we're going to center the vaccine around.
And then most of it time it's a bad guess.
They whiff. Yeah,
They
it's
whiff.
about 50-50.
And then now this was a new vaccine with Corona, correct? A new type
Corona was a new vaccine.
in general, right?
Not only was it new because it was a new virus, it was new because it was produced differently.
Yes. And I'm gonna pro-vaccine or not, I think it had a big factor to kill my dad and Anna. So unfortunately, those two both didn't. My dad got cancer after it, but he was a smoker. He was happy. I get that, but he also had Corona at first. Got the vaccine, and then everything just went south. Same with Anna, and unfortunately, took their lives this year.
And I mean,
it's. I think
vaccines are really good unless you're immunocompromised. Like if you've got an immune system that's already drained down. Like I mean, vaccines will work.
Well, yeah, I guess they were both on chemo,
Yeah.
but this one was different than our traditional ones. Though.
Yeah, this was an RNA-based
So we're
one.
playing with something new that's been in development, but
Relatively new. So like we talked about it in pharmacy school. I took a class called Therapeutic Proteins, and we talked about it. So like it's not new tech, but it was the first time that I'm aware of that they've put it
Guinea pigs.
Yeah, they've put it into practice. Because what an RNA vaccine lets you do is it lets you spin a vaccine up quick.
Okay.
So like this was like the first time you could even argue that it was necessary, because the flu, I mean, they're doing flu different now too, but I mean, historically the way they had done it, like I said, they started working a year out. Didn't really have that option with Corona.
So yeah, so they figured this was their shot to
I think
try something.
Pfizer just released that they didn't know what effect it had on contagion and stuff
But
over in Europe.
they knew if they got a government though behind it to force vaccines, they would make the stocks of all the holders who happen to be in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, you're writing checks.
The
government's writing checks. It's not,
Pfizer's gonna. All right,
because they paid for all the vaccine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You just went and got it.
Yeah,
Then
and
you
they
went and got
paid.
another one and another one.
And then I heard stuff like doctors were getting paid to tell people to go get it.
Yeah.
Oh man, sometimes medical can get a little fishy.
Yeah. So
Not saying what you do is a little
No.
fishy, and I'm happy
Well,
you're
like-
having an open discussion with
yeah.
me on this stuff,
so like
because I do respect your opinion immensely.
we had a guy that got COVID at work that was not the picture of health. So like he had several comorbidities that tended to not lead to good outcomes with COVID. Diabetic, morbidly obese, high blood pressure.
Didn't take care of himself.
No. Dude got it and was like, Normally work days, he was working nights that week. About Tuesday, he was like, man, I just don't feel right. I think it's me working nights. Like, I'm just not used to doing it anymore. Felt run down. That was it.
Passed out, died.
No,
Oh,
it was fine.
that was it.
It was fine.
He was fine. I thought you were going to
Yeah.
give me a tragedy.
No, it was
I was
fine.
strapped in.
And like, so like a couple.
My dad was fine the first time too when
Yeah.
it was at its strongest.
Yeah.
He got the vaccine because the government told him if he got the vaccine, he wouldn't wear a mask. Since my dad was a smoker, he had trouble breathing with this thing on his face, and and me who breaks out in shingles, it makes my shingles
Worse.
It promotes outbreaks.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there fighting. I'm like, no, shingles are a real thing, and they're going to take my vision if we don't do it. But
So like he went and did the quarantine thing. I think another guy got it. I never tested because like I didn't think I had COVID. So like I went and worked in the yard on a Friday afternoon. Saturday I had a sore throat, runny nose. Took a Allegra, was good Sunday. 3 weeks later was changing the kids' diaper, and Ron's like, "This is horrible. I'm like, I smell nothing."
I got it.
Yeah,
Oh man, that was my favorite thing about COVID.
yeah,
Was not being able to smell.
yeah,
I'm convinced. I like not smelling better than I like smelling.
yeah,
Like 1,000%. Because most things smell bad.
yeah. You don't pick up on good smells.
Yeah, what's good smells?
Yeah.
Cookies, a
Yeah.
new car.
Yeah,
It's not like, diarrhea
Yeah.
and shit or rotten anything.
Yeah, that's the stuff you're like, sweet.
Yeah. Then when you have COVID, it's like you're picking up the remote.
And like, I think Matt was a lot the same way. But like so my smell was gone for like 8 months.
I'm so jealous.
I think Matt's was gone for like a year. No, yeah, Rhonda would come upstairs and she's like, "You can't smell that?" I'm like, "Nope."
No, do I
What
got to
are we
do
smelling?
something?
Can I guess?
Yeah, do I got to do stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
It was so easy.
It
Without
was
smelling.
like, oh yeah, like that. If you had to lose smell, having a newborn's the time to lose smell.
Oh yeah, I lost the taste too, and then I discovered I could still eat bad because I like texture of the fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's like I just like the texture of a fried chicken.
Yeah.
I don't like
So,
the
but I
texture
mean,
of a
other than
salad.
that, and like, I mean, like, I wasn't vaccinated at that point.
Have you had any complications with it?
No,
Not that you know
no,
of or anything.
not that I know of. But like, with us, like, I mean, it was getting to where like everybody was requiring it for work.
Are they still requiring it?
No, Tennessee passed a law where they couldn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think everybody should take care of themselves though, and you should be in charge of your own health. But also, I think there's something like taking life for granted too.
Yeah.
Like, because it's your humanly duty to keep yourself in shape and not eat all the bad things.
Yep.
Or else you're definitely just taking life for granted.
You just coasting. Yeah.
You're just coasting and enjoying the finer things in life.
Yeah. I'll get to the end eventually. No.
This is good. Pizza's good.
Yeah. No, it is, guys. That's why you shouldn't have too much.
Yeah, it's all right sometimes.
As a general rule, that'll get you there. Is it fun? Does it taste good? Probably want to limit that.
Yeah, I know.
Take you
need
down a bad road.
You need to put a little resistance on, lift a couple of weights,
Yeah.
make your life give yourself some friction to
Yeah.
smooth it's sailing on.
Yeah.
So we strayed from jiu-jitsu. Are you an MMA fan as well?
I watch from time to time.
Okay.
Not
Me too.
hardcore. Yeah. There's a card that's like super good.
So do you think you'll watch this one coming up, Oliveira?
I would if I wasn't working that weekend.
Okay, yeah.
If I wasn't working, I'd watch that one. Yeah.
I may watch that one.
Yeah,
I'm interested. Especially I got money on
Oh yeah, that always makes it more
all the
interesting.
main cards. But I could put money on something and go to sleep. I put $800 on Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz. Woke up, oh, I won.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think what the last card I watched was before that. It was stacked though. But yeah, I follow them, but not close.
Like enough. I'll read results.
I catch the highlights the next day. I'm good.
Yeah, I'll go to Sherdog and read the results.
Yeah.
If I really like the fight, I'll read how it goes.
Yeah.
And see if it is and matches up with the judges' scorecard.
Yeah.
But do you watch jiu-jitsu a lot?
I do watch jiu-jitsu. So we went out and watched ADCC a couple weeks ago.
How'd you like it?
It was fun, man.
It's long, huh?
It was long. Part of the fun's it's in Vegas.
Yes.
So, yeah, both days were just long. So the second day we left and came back. So like we watched through.
They put a lot of so Seth from Fight to Win ran it.
Yeah,
He does a great job with his production, but
he does.
I heard they overproduced it.
They did. One of the announcers was awful.
The Pride girl.
Yeah,
Oh man.
awful. Like at one point I was like, guys, just stop,
Is it because it was too much?
because it was 90-something people.
Yes.
They introduced every fighter with her.
Her voice probably.
Yeah. So after 10, you're like, I'm good. After 20, you're like, please quit.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you around for the nostalgia of Pride?
No, but I have watched some old Pride stuff.
Yeah, like she was like, they loved her more
Yeah.
than like Bruce Buffer back in the day.
Yeah.
And it like fit.
Yeah. And now the second day she did stuff, but she was quicker with it. And that made it a lot better.
Yeah, I guess it's good if it's a fight card. It
Yeah.
doesn't
If
fit.
you're doing two fighters and you're getting a break because they're going to fight. and
That'd
then-
be like Bruce Buffer doing
Yeah.
everybody. It would
Yeah.
even he would get repetitive
get
after
old.
20.
Yeah. And they were 90-something of them. You were like, oh, my God.
I mean, cool for the athlete. They
Yeah,
got the
no, it
Pride
is cool
girls
because,
scream.
like, they were all out there,
Like Bruce Buffer said my name once and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, that's like a chip on the
Well, like
shoulder.
you're a jiu-jitsu guy. Like, how often do you fight in front of 12,000 people?
Yeah.
Like, you never see that.
Or even have the Pride girls scream your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of that was cool for the fighters, but some
Yeah.
of it you could have just sped up.
Yeah, it's like it dragged out a little bit.
Yeah, so like we got through the heavyweight, like the night we watched the '88 because that's where we left. We watched the '88 championship and left,
Okay,
and then came back to watch Gordon and Galball.
awesome.
Yeah.
So how many days were you there?
So we got there on Thursday afternoon and left early Monday morning. So like I left 5:00 Monday morning.
How many days was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
It was Saturday, Sunday. They had a Friday meet and greet and stuff.
Yeah,
I care nothing about that.
yeah. You got to shake some jujitsu.
Never
guy's hand.
posted anything on.
It's not like
Insta.
Chuck Liddell's
I'm
there.
not gonna get a picture with Gordon so I can post it somewhere.
Yeah, like Gordon. This is Dan.
It's my guy.
This is
No, he's not.
Danaher, yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting here taking pictures with people.
Yeah. This is got to.
You're
be-
number 2,278 to Gordon. So,
Yeah.
like, none of that I cared about. Had Rhonda went, like Rhonda was going to initially go, we would have probably went to the Friday because she wanted to see Gabby. She's
Really?
like, how big is this lady?
She's big.
Yeah,
She's a big girl.
yeah. So, but like we would have went for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
So you did it's like 3 days. 'Cause
Yeah.
You get there Thursday, but you could still go out. You still go
Yeah.
out and you go out because you're like, oh, Vegas.
yep. And that's what we did Friday. Friday was a Vegas day.
Good.
Yeah.
So you
So,
did like
it was
Thursday
no
night,
ADCC.
Friday,
Yep.
Vegas day.
Yep. And then Saturday, like I think they stopped around 4, or that's when they were scheduled to stop. So we were out of there by 4 for sure. And so Saturday night was Vegas night
Okay, and then Sunday was just
all day.
and if you were to do it again, do you think it'd be better to go out on a trip to Vegas, let's say a 4 or 5 day trip, and catch a fight, or do something like?
I've caught a fight out in Vegas. And
Oh,
now-
this wasn't your first time.
No. I've been to Vegas 6 or 7 times.
Oh,
Like
awesome.
we went out
My
there and
man.
watched. It was when Cruz's first or second comeback was.
Okay,
Connor was fighting on that card. It was like 170 something.
that's cool.
Yeah, so like that didn't get as tedious.
Yes.
Because like even the press conference was fun with it.
Yeah, even the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Weigh-ins is fun and quick.
Yeah.
Weigh-ins is not.
So we went to some of that stuff. It was an hour, 2 hours, we were out.
Weigh-ins
Went to the
is
fight
fun
the
too.
next day, out.
Yeah, weigh-ins is only an hour
Yeah.
or 2 hours, you see, and then everybody's excited at
Yep.
weigh-ins too. There's a lot of good energy. Like you want to go to the
Yeah.
weigh-ins.
Oh, and like Connor was pretty young then, so like the crowd was hopped up. Everybody had
Oh,
the Irish flags.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a good time when
Yeah.
the Irish are there.
Yeah. So the
That's-
fight was better, but I understood the jiu-jitsu better.
Yes.
So like at ADCC, the cool part was like if somebody passed, everybody was like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, most people watching that don't get why that's cool.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah,
Because it's like, but like UFC's an entertainment game.
it is.
Like ADCC's is kind of more Olympic-esque, where you're going to be sitting around all day.
It is, and like there's
It's like it's almost a little bit like you're at a softball tournament or something.
kind of,
to it.
sort of, and like even though it's meant to where it's hard to stall, it's not as stally as like IBJJF.
Yes.
You
It's still
can't
slow.
not have some stalling. Like you can't get around it with jiu-jitsu. I don't think.
No, that's why wrestling I think is a little bit
Yeah.
more exciting, but even that could get slow
Yeah.
too.
So like even like so it would take 5 minutes with that rule set before they would go to the points.
Yes.
And once they went to points, then the gas came on.
Yes. I
And
love
everybody would
that
get revved
rule
up.
set.
Yeah, it's a cool rule set.
Yeah, I really like it, and it gives you a little bit of both. I think it's the best run
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah. Like I think they're doing it 2024 there.
In Vegas.
Like I would think about going back.
You would think about going back.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Depending on who's there,
Right.
but there were just so many big names there.
There's
this time.
it's gonna be all the best in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
the time. The Rotolo
Those
brothers,
kids are crazy.
yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They're
and
good.
like the finals match with Mika's Galval's crazy.
Yes.
Like he had one of the best like jiu-jitsu matches there. Maybe his second or third fight. Like I was like, holy crap, this kid is just phenomenal.
Wow. And Rotolo won, huh?
Yeah, Caught him in a
What happened to
heel hook.
Jimenez?
Jimenez.
Did he not qualify and get invited?
No, he did. He did.
He fizzled out?
I think he went out second round.
Because he beat one of the
Yeah.
Rotullo brothers.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
that may.
another
Yeah.
18-year-old phenom.
Yeah. And like that's Matt's guy. So Matt was.
Jimenez.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the combat jiu-jitsu, Matt's like, "Go Tom," but really Jimenez.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if he was his guy then. Like he was when he got into Who's Number One and he watched him a couple times. He's like, I like that guy's style.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the fight to win and who's number one really changed grappling into
Yeah.
more of a sport jiu-jitsu and less self-defense.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when they did that reality show, like those were god awful because like those were like hour-long matches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like it was sub only.
Who was in it? Like Kyle Chambers?
They
I
had
know him.
Spriggs was one of the coach and Craig Jones was one of the coach. You know, because they were trying to hype that Craig.
A part of me was thinking of entering, and I was like, nah,
You should have, man.
I had this.
Go out to Texas
I'm
and
not
play.
a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
I'm an MMA guy.
They
who's good at jiu-jitsu.
They had a B team guy that went pretty deep, and they had that big kid from New Wave.
George is going to go out to B team soon
That would be cool.
with Bo.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. He was talking about what he heard from some of the ATT guys, so take this with a grain of salt. He was talking to somebody who trained at them both. He said the reason he kind of wants to go to B team and Bo wants to go to B team is because, like, at Danaher's place, he said everybody looks miserable. Nobody's having fun or laughing or like everybody's just kind of like miserable and like probably high
much like
egos. Yes, and I heard like Craig Jones, the B team is fun. And
It
they're,
looks
like
fun.
they're enjoying themselves
Yeah.
while they're improving at a high level.
Craig corners for Volkanovski, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Volkanovski though takes in like big names to
Yeah.
corner.
When I think they brought him in just for Ortega.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, like I'd say, if you do MMA, like Craig may have seen some of it.
Yeah, Danaher's does
yeah.
pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I guess with George St. Pierre.
But you saw, you can. The problem is, like, people hang themselves on George St. Pierre's hat, but he didn't, like, learn it all from them.
From Danaher.
No, he did, like Phil Nurse. They got with him when he was popular.
Well, he was like a gymnast, wasn't he?
Who, St. Pierre?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he also talked about, like, how he lifts weights not to get good at fighting, but
Yeah.
to look good.
Yeah.
He says, I enjoy looking good.
Cool.
And you know what he loves?
Yeah.
Fat black women.
Nice.
That's his favorite.
Good for George.
I was buddies with John Jones for a brief point in my life. Trained at his camp. We went out for my 23rd birthday. And he was telling me about the first time. This was before he left fully for Jackson Wink.
Right.
And he was still in between. And he was talking about George St. Pierre. He said, we had our first meeting, like, to meet and introduce to each other. And we were out somewhere. And he said the hottest girls in the bar would come up, George St. Pierre, da-da-da-da-da. And then after they'd be gone, he'd be polite, send them off on their way. And then he'd be like, all right, let's go talk to that girl. And it'd be a fat black girl that didn't even know who he was. Yeah. And then he'd be like, I like to wake up next to a girl and feel like I'm next to Jabba the Hutt.
Hey, if that's your thing, good on you.
Yeah. My buddy actually said he drove by him and saw him with some ugly Asian girl in New Jersey walking the street. And he said he was a fighter too. He said he honked the horn at him again and said, fuck you. Okay, that's Jersey in a nutshell.
Yeah.
See somebody you're excited about and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Now, I probably will watch if Jones comes back, because isn't it Scuttlebutt he's going to fight Stipe at the end of the year?
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to fight Stipe. I don't know if he's going to fight again.
That's kind of where I was leaning. I thought he may be done.
They did a good job of sweeping him beating his wife under the rug.
Yeah.
That was like I was always cheering for him until
Yeah.
that. I met his wife too. She's a nice lady, Jesse.
Yeah.
Sweetheart. Yeah, she's put up with a lot.
Yeah.
But people don't notice about Jones. From what I took, knowing him early in his life, right before he just about the time he beat Stephan Bonner.
Okay.
A fight after that, O'Brien, a guy named Jake O'Brien, right before he fought Vladimir Matyshenko. I thought that was going to be a really tough fight for him, and he cut through him like hot knife through butter. But John never had anything. Wasn't the popular guy. Never got like a ton of chicks. Kind of got picked on a little. And then you have nothing all your life, and then you become somebody, and then you become
The guy.
top 100 people in the world,
Yeah.
per se. Like, going from nothing to something, I bet, like, reality could get warped.
Oh, yeah.
To have nothing and be poor, and then, I remember we were, like, I stayed at his house, and I think he had a modular on the property,
Yeah.
and he was cooking, like, hot dogs, and this little girl was like, you want one? We're just hanging out. And so it was like and the fight team that he was with was giving him such a hard time. They were picking on him. I don't know why. And he ended up like punching one of them in the face after a fight because he made a racist joke because he got jealous and John fucking punched him.
Let him know what he thought.
Yeah, and then that became a big riff, and then John's finally like, fuck this, I'm leaving. But like, you go to the other end of the spectrum, I could see like things getting a little
Oh,
warped.
yeah. Yeah. Reality getting blurred.
Yeah, and his dad was a preacher or reverend that they had to hide fighting from.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed to fight. And then he even said, oh, you wouldn't be a good fighter, his dad. So stop even thinking that. You wouldn't be a good fighter.
Your eye for talent may not be there, man.
I asked him, I was like, did you finally tell your dad? When we were fighting regionally, and then I stayed with him, I was like, did you finally tell your dad? He's like, yeah, we couldn't hide it after we got into UFC.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. No, I like to watch him. He's good.
He's probably the greatest of all time.
I don't think anybody would have a question if it wasn't for all his baggage.
Yes and no, because I guess his last one with the pictogram bullshit was that
Yeah.
the cocaine wasn't bad, though.
Nah.
Because that was actually a mistake.
Yeah.
Because they were never supposed to test him for cocaine at a competition a month away.
Yeah.
Because cocaine's legal
Yeah.
if you're not fighting on fight night.
Yeah.
Because it's not
it's
a
gone.
de-enhancer.
Yeah.
It's something that destroys your body, and you shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
it. So they're not going to fine you, but somebody accidentally checked that box. And then they released it to the press.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, why is he still fighting? He probably should have sued.
Yeah. Yep. No, but other than the big ones, man, like I don't watch a whole bunch. I got to where I was watching some one, especially since it went over to Amazon, because like one would kind of blend it together.
Yes.
You know, they'd have
They're
like
doing
jiu-jitsu, kickboxing.
They got that Musheshi.
Mikey Musheshi.
Yeah, I've seen him around for years.
Yeah.
Where's he from?
He was training with Kai Terra and like was living out in Vegas, but now he's I guess over in Singapore. But he was out of Vegas, like he lived
Originally?
in Vegas. Yeah,
I thought he might have been an East Coaster or something.
they may have started there and moved, but he was in
Yeah.
Vegas for several years.
Wow.
And yeah, super good in the gi.
Yeah, was it a gi match in one?
He won a no gi one this last time.
I think they do no gi with one, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And Mayweather boxed.
Yeah, and then like they did what's his face, the big Thai boxer, where they did like the first round was kickbox and then they went to MMA.
Yeah,
Rod
Tang.
Tang. Yeah. I was like, that's a cool rule set, guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just
I
put
know.
on a show.
Yeah, and you knew Rod Tang had to finish it in the first, or else he was done.
Yeah, but
Mike's from New Jersey.
Like, I thought he was from New Jersey. I've seen him around forever.
yeah, I think he's won 4 in the gi, 4
I
world
wonder
titles.
I wonder who he's under out in Jersey, or was. Huh. We'll have my Jamie
Yeah.
look it up.
Jamie, jump on it.
Jamie, get it.
No, but like I like Mikey too, but I mean he's such a good guy.
Yes.
Like, and he comes across like that, like it's like
He's
his
like
feelings-
quiet.
Yeah, he had that match with it, with Boogie,
Yes.
and like Boogie like hurt his feelings with the smack talk.
Really?
Yeah, like he got legitimately got his feelings hurt.
Yeah, that's somebody I always wanted to grapple.
Yeah, Boogie.
Yeah, we never had the chance though, but I always did good against 10 Planet guys.
Yeah,
Cause just stylistically, I understood their game.
what they were gonna try to do.
Yeah, because I like some of their stuff, so I
Yeah.
was already I was already with it.
Yeah,
I always thought that was the match I was supposed to have, and never came around. We both at ADCC trial lost the same round.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lost to the guy who won, and then he lost to just somebody else. But
That that last trial was stupid.
yeah, even the guy
Size wise, it was just huge.
I thought ours was the biggest at 118, and then this one
It was like 250 something.
256.
Yeah.
Cause that
That shows you jiu-jitsu's blowing up.
yeah.
More and more people getting into it.
One of my biggest regrets was not doing it early in my MMA career. Because, when there was only, 30 people for trials.
Yep.
I could have snuck in and been an ADCC guys early in my career.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, Tom DeBlast did. He snuck in super early.
Yeah.
And then he was just Gordon Ryan's coach, and now he gets that better than everybody else.
Yeah. Hangs out with them. Him
Yeah,
and Gary.
and then gets to say, do what I do and not as I do. Do what I say, not as I do.
Yeah. And I've watched DeBlast's stuff. Some of it. I'm like,
He's good.
He's good.
not
but
amazing.
No.
No, they don't get their style from DeBlast.
No.
They get it from Danner, but
Yeah.
they were already amazing. They just were talented before. And they really understood. Maybe he did do a good job of starting them off, because I remember when Tonin was a brown belt, he beat my black belt buddy, who was pretty good.
Yeah.
And this fucking kid. And I thought I was going to have to try to grapple him, but we never came around.
No, that's.
But that was our area.
We were looking for a place to put a parlay down out there, but nobody was betting on the ADCC.
Yeah, nobody cares.
I was like, man, we're the independents. Maybe one of these independents have it.
I think Seth runs it through himself.
Yeah, but I would have got blistered because I would have picked Tonin, because that was the biggest upset of the match.
Oh, I saw it. I was thinking about it.
16 beat 1.
Oh, I know. How did he was 1?
Yeah.
How did he lose?
Points. At the
Was he out grappled?
I think he was being a little too cautious. He wasn't doing his wheelhouse is just go out there and go. If he's going, he's usually making stuff happen. But he was super cautious at first, and now at the end he was on the dude's heel. Just couldn't finish.
The other guy was a little bit aware.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes in.
How'd the kid do? Who would beat him?
I don't remember. I don't remember. He was the 16th seed. I didn't even know
He
who
just
he
did
was.
it, and then
Yeah, I was like, who? What?
oh man,
Yeah.
he did it, and then he probably fizzled out second match or the third.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep.
Good for him. James, awesome having you on,
It was
brother.
a pleasure, sir.
Any shout outs you want to give to the wife, the kid?
Yeah, the wife and the kid. That's the team. Other than that, I'm here.
We're honored to have you in this gym and on this podcast.
Pleasure, sir.
You're the man, James.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been the Militia MMA podcast. Thank you guys for tuning on in.